Our next presentation is a double header. Robert Funston and Richard Hutchinson from Chisholm Institute here, just to the southeast of Melbourne, are going to present to you. Robert has, now which is Robert? Robert Funston studied his career in horticulture before moving into plumbing, running his own medium-sized plumbing business for 15 years before transitioning into maintenance for larger buildings and facilities management. He's been teaching at Chisholm for the last 13 years and maintained links with local water authorities like South East Water and assisted in writing training resources and providing plumbing training to practising plumbers in trade waste and drainage. And Richard is like he says he likes to break and blow things up to engage plumbing apprentices. I think we all probably like to do that, Richard, but you're doing it and you're getting paid for it. That's good. He's a plumbing teacher at Chisholm Institute. He believes that better plumbing education plays a vital role in supplying sustainable water and sanitation on global scale. He calls it the science of plumbing. He focuses on equipping apprentices with solid understanding of the principles underlying plumbing systems, the physics behind plumbing systems, and understanding of future technologies. He's done a lot of teaching, including, interestingly, he studied at UNESCO's Institute for Water Education in the Netherlands. They will be taking some questions at the end of the session, so use your app once again. Their topic today is the importance of quality plumbing training in Australia, considering the implications on global public health. Welcome, guys.
Yep.
Hi, and thanks for having us here today. I'm Rob Funston, and of course this is Richard, as Rob's already spoken about. Today, we'd like to talk to you about a study that Rich and I experienced a couple of years ago. This journey has changed our professional life, changed our perceptions on plumbing training, and changed our understanding on the importance and responsibility of delivering quality training to our students. But most of all, we'd really like to talk about the unintended consequences of our study trip. Our experience started with Richard and I applying for and being granted a fellowship with the International Specialised Skills Institute. And the proposal we put forward was we would be studying decentralised water and sanitary in poorer countries and urban areas. We were to study at the UNESCO Water University in Delft in the Netherlands. So we thought we were going there to study new plumbing technologies and new methods of plumbing. Unfortunately, we were very wrong and our research was lacking sadly. We arrived in Delft, a beautiful old city west of Amsterdam, between Rotterdam and The Hague. We booked into a B&B house and stayed there for the next 3 weeks for the duration of the course. We arrived at the university and walked through the front doors into the foyer of the university and instantly felt an air. The air was thick. It was thick and full of focus and research. It was like every picture, every poster, every chair was just dripping with tales of solving the world's issues around providing clean water and safe, hygienic sanitary services for all people. The only conversations we had for the next week were totally focused on providing clean water and safe sanitary conditions. We registered for our course, and that's when we realised the 3-week course was an elective course for students who had just about completed their master's or their engineering degrees in water and sanitary. These students were the brightest from their countries. Only 1,000, there was 1 in every 1,000 selected for a scholarship to do this course. And then there was us, 2 dumb plumbers from Australia. We looked at our study program for the next 3 weeks and found we'd be studying 8 subjects on decentralised water, thank you, fecal management, rainwater harvesting, biofiltration, waste management, and a couple of others. We found our class, and there was 2 seats right in the middle of the classroom. We were sitting amongst people from 33 countries. People have particular issues around provision of clean water and sanitary conditions. The class began with the lecturer, Dr. Sharma. Dr. Sharma, the most fascinating man I've ever met. It seemed he had a tale from every country on provision of clean water, providing solutions for providing clean water to countries and safe sanitary conditions. So now, so he asked us to introduce ourselves. So we introduced ourselves as plumbers from Australia, and there were some quizzical looks around the room, because a plumber in some of these countries doesn't mean exactly what a plumber means here. A plumber may be an unskilled worker who just cleans up human waste in most of the countries of the people who are in the classroom. So not only are we feeling like, what the hell are we doing here, but the class is also thinking, what the hell are you doing here? The class begins and we start to talk about how people access, collect and clean their dirty water in urban and rural areas. We started off just learning about how people, thanks Rich, clean their water in their own homes, in bags filled with rocks and soil, filtering the dirty water so that they can drink it. Rudimentary distilleries set up over open fires. Children drinking out of life straws, straight out of dirty water with a filter onto a straw. And people who are putting rancid water into normal soft drink bottles and sitting on their roof for 24 hours so that the ultraviolet light would kill the pathogens. And on the sanitary issue, how to remove human waste from large communities with no sanitary fixtures or infrastructure at all. The lecturers were continually using existing knowledge from in the classroom to create discussions and understanding amongst the other members of the class, and just to provide discussion and argument, and then we'd move on to problem-solving tasks. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold. So the classes were discussion, a lesson, a discussion, some problem-solving, and then at the end of each class there was an assignment to do. And the assignment was held in groups. One of the first assignments we had to do was we had to design a water treatment facility for a community. So we were told about the topography of the area, the community needs of the area. We were given a scenario like there'd be a community of 250,000 people now. And in 15 years' time, there's going to be 750,000 people. And we had to design a facility where they would be getting 50 litres a day of clean water from that facility. With every class, so these kind of scenarios is where Rich and I realised how good our training was, how we understood about the practicalities, how we understood about construction, design, sizing, filtration, valves, backflow. Like from our training here, we become very, very valuable to that class and to those activities. It was a great realisation because we really felt a great sense of value, a great sense of achievement, and we were able to contribute heavily to the class. We became actually quite popular in the class. With every class, there was a new instructor. They were the absolute experts in their field. For some of these classes, the instructors were flown in for the day just to teach us and then flown out again. But the method of teaching was consistent. A lesson, a discussion, some problem-solving events, an assignment where everyone had to research. You had to participate. You had to participate. And you wanted to participate. And it was just a whole discovery for us from the way that we'd been taught. The lessons were engaging, interesting, and just compelling. Richard and I discovered we were not only being schooled in global plumbing issues, but schooled in a new method of education. We soon realised that we can adapt this type of education to what we're doing back at home. So as teachers, we need to offer the best training possible. And we're in a great position, a privileged position of being able to influence minds. Richard's now going to talk to you about how we've affected those changes at Chisholm.
Thanks, Rob. And as you see in the titles of Rob and I, our reports we did, is we sort of both came to a similar sort of goal, you know, sustainable water supply and sanitation, the role of plumbing education in reaching this goal, improving plumbing training in Australia, considering the implications of global health. I mean, that's pretty good connection. Straight from the World Plumbing Council's website, one of the pillars of participation, the risks of inadequately trained people doing plumbing work's too great to ever compromise on training. I'm probably not going to get any disagreement in this room. So how do we teach plumbing for an industry that changes so fast? That's our challenge. Population growth, sustainability, new technology, water scarcity, pollution. It's a big challenge we've got, and it's a wide industry. Climate change. I'll start with how we used to teach plumbing, how it was taught in the past. Hand out a pile of books, give it to students, tell them to read it, do the activities, and then teach some process that might be out of date soon. Okay, we probably need to change. So we're playing around at the moment with some learning strategies at Chisholm, and we're sort of basing on teaching the principles of plumbing. If you're teaching for something that doesn't exist now, you've got to have a strong understanding of the principles, the science, the physics of how things happen. Rob and I found that. We understood flow rates, so we could understand how to size a system for a township because we understand flow rates. One of the things we're doing, science of plumbing, activities we're doing with students where they do something. They don't know what they're doing, they're going to do something. They record what happened, what did they see, and then have a hypothesis for it. Then from the hypothesis, how does that apply to plumbing? So heat transfer, they'll do some activities. Hopefully they'll make the connection on what it is. Then we'll talk about why it relates to plumbing, why you need to know that. If you understand that, you understand heating and cooling. Capillary action, same thing, do some activity. Head pressure, we set up a rig, get them to get measurements at different heights. They'll make that connection, and then we'll make them see why they need to know that. Siphonage, we make something siphon. Expansion, contraction, it's kind of in everything. I like this quote from Harrington Emerson. It's from a long time ago. As to methods, there may be a million and then some, but principles are few. The persons who grasp principles can successfully select his own methods. The person who tries methods, ignoring principles, is sure to have trouble. So that's what we believe in. Employability skills. Someone mentioned this in one of our previous talks earlier on, and I think it's really, really pertinent. This comes from the World Economic Forum, the top 10 skills for employability across the board of like all jobs. When you look at it though, you think, geez, complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordinating with others, emotional intelligence, judgment, decision making, service orientation, negotiation, cognitive flexibility. geez, it's like the perfect plumber, isn't it? It's fantastic. Do we need to start teaching this stuff explicitly? Maybe we do, you know. But I don't know whether we do. Evidence-based learning. That's the thing that's happened, in the last 10 years. We know in education what works, what doesn't work. They've quantified it. They've shown that, just teaching in a classroom this particular way is really effective. That's not so effective. So if you're not using something that's evidence-based, that has been shown to work, then what are you doing? So that's accessible to teachers. Questioning, effective questioning, showing what success looks like, multiple exposures to things, metacognitive strategies, maybe teaching those metacognitive strategies. This is all sort of high-impact teaching strategies. Collaborative learning, effective and just-in-time feedback, setting goals for students, and explicit instructions. So we're modelling our lesson plans for our classes on explicit instructions because it's been proven to work, so that's why we do it. Industry participation. Now, just a quick shout out before I forget to our General Manager of Trades, Brian, who's been a big pusher in a lot of this. But one of the things he did before we started this was speak to the bosses. What do they want? What do they expect their apprentices to be able to do after the first year of our training? They should be able to do this, do a rough-in or incise a gas line. Whatever it is, then we've got to listen to them. They're the industry. So by the end of first year, the apprentices should be able to do that. We have an industry partnership with Reece at the moment. And also, I think we've got to change our attitudes from being plumbers who teach to professional teachers who happen to be plumbers. So we've got to, and I really like the Swiss system. I think they've got it right. They really invest money in their teachers and, invest them as a resource. I think that we could learn something from them. We need to learn better classroom strategies, proper teacher training. I don't think we get that at the moment. Teacher mentoring, something we've been doing a bit of. Continual professional development, it's a big one that, I think the TAFE colleges here need to invest more in their teachers. Encouraging classroom dialogue, not monologue. No one wants to sit somewhere and just listen to someone walk on like me, like I am at the moment all day. We're doing activity plumbing, so get them out in the workshop. There's Russell Smith who's been doing a lot of work on this, just thank Russell for all his hard work. But the I do, we do, you do principle of, I'll show you how to do something, we'll do it together, then off you go, you do it by yourself now. And LL&N assistance. So LL&N meaning language, literature and numeracy. A lot of our students do need assistance, so we're enrolling them in assistance when we can to get professional L&N teachers to come into the classrooms. And with that, we can do stuff specifically targeting where it's needed. So, only covering maths where it's relevant. If we need to calculate drains, fall on drains, then we get the L&N teachers in to help us with the maths of that. It's a pretty important thing to know how to do. And the whole challenging thing for us as educating plumbers to create something that's sort of real. That's always hard in a college. So high fidelity activities, keeping it as real as possible. This is some of the setups from our Cranbourne facility where they're doing some great things. And how are we going so far? Look, we're just sort of finishing first year of our training at the moment. This was a previous feedback from students about how they're enjoying their training, which was 67% overall satisfaction. With our new training model, we're getting consistently 92%. So our students are really happy. If you've got a happy student, they're engaged, they want to learn, and hopefully we're doing the right thing. So, thank you.
Just check to see if no questions come through. Anyone want to send one or scream one out? I think we're good. Oh, is that? Why can't I see it? Let's call it out.
Do you feel that the industry really supports TAFE training?
Certainly some industries do. I think we need to spend a bit more time with industry as well. I think it's where the problem, not being in contact with industry enough, bringing them in. That's what we want to do. We want to invite industry in all the time. That's what the students are familiar with. They're seeing all the new technologies. They don't feel like they're being taught like old bastards who know plumbing from years ago. They're up with the new stuff. So it's critical that industry is involved in our training.
There's another one here. How do we effectively train apprentices in multiple streams when they only work in one or two? Should registration be available with less than 5 streams, or should we push for apprentice sharing by employers who work with other streams?
It's a challenge for apprentices that are just in one stream, and it always is. But I think that's where we've got to be clever. Like, collaborative learning in the classroom is a really effective learning model. So if you've got someone that does drainage in the classroom, someone's never done it, then pair them up together. They're going to learn a lot more and listen more to their fellow student than they will to me as a teacher. So, what was the other thing? Sorry, Rob.
Well, it's about the role of employers, sharing by employers who work with other streams, push apprentice sharing by employers.
That'd be great. I'm not sure how you manage it, but yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Now, is there another question? Have I missed any? My machine's not updating. Was there another one? We're good. Guys, thanks very much. Appreciate your presentation.
Cheers. Thanks, Rob. Good on you.